Survive and Advance on the Gruely True Sports Network. Survive and Advance is brought to you by BetNow.eu. Make sure you go to BetNow.eu. Use the promo code TRUTH50 to get a 50% cash back bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. You could also go to the GruelingTruth.com page. Click on the banner. Use the promo code TRUTH50. I am your co-host for Survive and Advance, Mike Goodpaster. And right now, I would like to welcome my co-host, 1981 national champion with the Indiana Hoosiers, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing wonderful. It's another beautiful day in Los Angeles. It's going to be at about 105 degrees out here today and sunny, and I would kill for a thunderstorm Saturday or day. Just let it rain. I haven't seen rain since January.
Well, and I would say that Steve, from now on, I think I'm going to just introduce him as our Los Angeles correspondent meteorologist. So.
No, not a meteorologist, a meteorologist. Because I piss all over myself all the time. You know that on the show.
All right. That was actually remotely funny, Steve. Good job. And now we're going to go to the FF Faceoff. Anthony Cervino, who sounds like he's in a windstorm right now.
No, I was just taking the dog out. I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
All right.
Anthony's out playing golf. Are you kidding me? He's out at Donald Trump's golf course playing golf with Donald Trump right now. That's what he's doing now.
I used to play golf. I haven't played in a long time.
Yeah, Anthony looks too manly to play golf. At least with the beard.
I haven't played golf in a year. You know, because I busted up my foot.
How do you live in Los Angeles and not play golf?
Because I had blisters that developed into ulcers on the bottom of my foot. And I had
I'm going to my office.
I spent 8 days in the hospital and almost lost my damn foot. And it took me this long just to get it done. And actually, August 25th of 2018 was the last time I played golf. I parred the par 3 in the senior club championships. And I walked away in like 4th place. And that was the end of my golf. I walked away and said, okay, then the next day I went to the hospital and spent Labor Day in the hospital. But that's
right.
Okay. That's another story to be told later.
No, it's not. We don't need to hear it later because it's bad. So, all right. We're going to talk AFC South today. And,
holy
of course,
cow.
There's a little bit of news in the AFC South, Steve. With Andrew Luck being out, does that mean that the Colts are screwed?
No. Not at all.
Okay.
It's a very solid. It's a very. And Anthony will weigh in. He knows much more than I do. But you know, I'm a diehard Colts fan. I did reach out to Andrew and see if he wanted to buy one of the 3 jerseys I have hanging in my closet of Andrew Luck. He wanted one to wear to mow his grass and stuff like that. Now that he's retired, no. Jacoby Brissett is more than an adequate quarterback. He's an NFL player. I mean, he's a good quarterback. It's his team now. They've got to rethink what they're doing. That team is solid from top to bottom. I still think it's the best team in the AFC South. It would have been better with Andrew Luck behind the helm, only because we know Andrew Luck. But I think Jacoby Brissett will be fine. Andrew, what do you think as an outsider? Because I'm partial. So what do you think?
You know, I think when you bring up the AFC South, I think that is a division that is flawed. You can make the case that the Colts, you don't have Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, while I do believe he's a winning quarterback, in 16 games. In 2017, you have to remember, Brissett was a Patriot until about 2 weeks leading up to the regular season. And he was only in the system for 2 weeks and ended up doing a pretty good job in 2017. What impressed me the most about Brissett is that he only committed 10 total turnovers. And this is a guy who never really played a lot and then had to start basically halfway through week 1. So I think he can play mistake-free football and lead the Colts to some wins. I don't think their season is shot, but they're human. And if you look at that whole division, the Houston Texans, they got manhandled by the Dallas Cowboys, first team against first team. That offensive line couldn't stop Taco Charlton. 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery, and he looked like a draft bust leading up to this season. And then you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I believe they're the most complete team in that division now that they have Nick Foles.
Yeah, and my question would be this, Anthony. I think the one good thing is Andrew Luck last year was the comeback player of the year. And the reason that happened was Frank Reich helped facilitate that by ditching the long developing deep drop passing plays in favor of 3- and 5-step drops and quick hitting throws that targeted pass catchers in a short and intermediate zones. And I know the idea was to protect Luck and his surgically repaired arm and shoulder, but when you look at it, that fits what Jacoby Brissett does, so it's not like they have to completely change the offense.
Well, this is a completely different Colts team. This is going to be a different quarterback in Brissett than 2 years ago. And this Colts team, compared to 2 years ago, is completely different.
No, I'm not comparing it to 2 years ago. What I'm saying is the offense that they designed for Andrew Luck was not. It was more. It fits Jacoby Brissett better than what the Andrew Luck offense of a few years ago was.
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that. You know, because Brissett's mobile and Andrew Luck is mobile.
Yeah,
I think Brissett gives the Colts more options.
No, he doesn't.
I really do.
No.
Andrew Luck is as good a running quarterback as there is in the NFL for an actual quarterback.
But he got beat up every time he did it. I mean, that's
so
why
was
we
Jacoby
didn't
Brissett.
have it.
That's why it's not good to have your quarterback running around.
Right. Okay.
So, I mean, when you look at this, Steve, I think it comes down to this. If you've got Brissett and he doesn't turn the ball over, you're all right. If your defense is all right, what do you think the key to the defense is?
Well, the Colts still, I don't think, are very strong on offensive or defensive line coverage. I think they're still kind of weak there. They're not as strong as they need to be. They get great linebacking core, and they've got some young, good rookies or young players back playing in the secondary. But they're unproven. The Colts are unproven, but there's so much talent on that football team. I'm not going to pull them out of that. They still win the AFC South. I'm not going to pull them out of that. I don't think Jacoby Brissett is a big enough a problem to them that it takes them out of that mix. And I watched the game last night with the Titans, and they've got a quarterback controversy going on there. We'll get to that. I'm sure we talk about the Titans. But they just need to commit to Brissett and say he's our guy. But here's the other question. And Mike, you and I talked about this offline. Do they try and get Eli Manning? Do they try and go get a veteran quarterback to come in and run this offense? And the Colts are a team. The Colts are a team like I think the Cowboys are going to be in the Super Bowl, and I think they will be. I think the Cowboys are going to be in the Super Bowl. So, do the Colts go get
Cowboys
a veteran quarterback?
Screwed, Anthony. Risley has spoken. Zeke ain't playing, and they're going 7-9.
I'm sorry, Anthony, but I'm rooting for the Cowboys. I want the Cowboys in there.
Good.
I want the Cowboys in there.
Hey, remember this, Anthony. Steve roots for the Colts, and their quarterback just retired at 29.
Oh, come on.
With $150 million in his bank account, what the hell would you do? Jesus Christ, at 29 years, I'm sorry, I used that word. I'm apologizing, Mike. I shouldn't say that. $150 million in his bank account. He retired. Yeah, he walked away. He's got a child coming. He's health issues. Why wouldn't you retire? I mean, it's hard. I mean, how much pounding these guys take every day. But I think the Colts are still – I don't think they lost a lot.
What?
With going to Brissett.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Dude, come on. There's very few quarterbacks here
is the best
that are not a downgrade.
If Andrew Luck is healthy, you can make the case he's the best quarterback in the NFL. He's in the top three.
If is the middle word in life.
No, wait a second.
How can you say Jacoby Brissett?
How about this? I don't think Anthony's ever going to say, well, if Jacoby – there's never going to be a sentence where if and Jacoby Brissett and best quarterback in the NFL is ever going to happen. There is that conversation with Andrew Luck. This is a huge downgrade, and the only reason the Indianapolis Colts have an outside shot to be a backdoor wild card or win the division is because the division is crap.
9-7 is going to win that division.
Probably.
All right. So do the Colts go after a Eli Manning or some other or Andy Dalton? There's a lot of teams out there that
Andy
just
Dalton
drafted
is not
young
going
quarterbacks.
anywhere.
Andy Dalton will be gone next year, Anthony.
Maybe next
There you
year,
go.
but not this year.
But not this year. No, what the Bengals have in
But
Ryan
his
Finley,
highest value is right now,
Oh,
Mike.
okay.
Would you not say his highest value is
it
not
doesn't
next
matter
year, it's
what
right
his
now?
highest value is because the Bengals are not going to make a trade for the Colts' benefit. And right now, Andy Dalton gives the Bengals the best chance to win right now. Ryan Finley
I agree.
is the best quarterback in this draft. He has played extremely well in the preseason, which doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot to me. But I know how the Brown family operates. And if you can have Ryan Finley making $2 million or $1 million next year, or they could have Andy Dalton, who they have to re-sign and probably pay $25 or $30 million, the Bengals are going to go with Ryan Finley, and Andy Dalton would be available. If I'm the Colts right now, Jacoby Brissett knows the offense. Unless the Colts really think that Jacoby Brissett cannot do this, why would you make a trade for an older Eli Manning as a one-year stopgap? Because then you've still got to go get a quarterback. So why not see if Brissett can play? And if it's, right before the trade deadline and they're 3-3 with a chance to win something, maybe they make that move. But I think right now the smartest thing to do is see what Jacoby Brissett can do. I think Jacoby Brissett is a guy who can be a 500 quarterback on a team with that much talent. But they went with Andrew Luck. They had an outside shot at the Super Bowl. With Jacoby Brissett, they have an outside shot at the playoffs.
I'm going to hot take this for a sec.
Go ahead.
So I want to
Go
hot
ahead,
take
buddy.
this for a second, and I'm going to put out there, I said it on Facebook and Twitter, and people kind of turned their nose up. If Tom Brady, if this is his last year with the New England Patriots, he'll be an Indianapolis Colts in 2020.
Or he'll be somewhere
What?
else. Yeah, that's not surprising. Why? I mean, right now the Patriots have, and Jarrett Stidham.
Brady?
Jarrett Stidham can take over
Tom
for
Brady
Tom Brady.
will be
and
with
they'll
the
fine.
Indianapolis Colts if he's not with the Patriots next year.
Yeah, I can see
If
that.
the Patriots decide to move on.
You're knucking futz.
If the Patriots decide to move on, Tom Brady, why? If you're
He
Tom
retires.
Brady, the Colts,
His
he'll go
wife
win
makes
3
10
more
times
Super
more
Bowls.
money than he does.
He'll win 3 more Super Bowls with that Colts talent pool and that offensive line.
Yeah, so you're telling me, Steve, that you wouldn't want the Colts to have Tom Brady next year?
Oh, God, who wouldn't want anybody
Then
to have
why
Tom
is
Brady as
Anthony
quarterback?
nuts? Because that would be the best thing to do,
Because it's
right?
not going to happen. Because Tom Brady is a loyal human being.
Oh, no, he's
I mean,
not.
he's not going to
He's
go
loyal
anywhere.
to
Tom
people
Brady-
that were loyal to him, but what happens when those people...
How old is Tom Brady? Is he 42, 43, or what?
Yeah, so.
He wants to play until he's 45, and he's 42. Tom Brady, all
Yeah.
these years of taking pay cuts, he went and got his money. There's, I
And
don't
his
know.
wife
he sold
makes 3
his house
times the
in New
money.
England.
His wife
Doesn't matter.
His wife makes
This
3
is the
times the
thing,
money he
Steve.
makes.
Steve, the reason Ezekiel Elliott is not signed with the Cowboys yet is ego. If they offered him $1 million more than Todd Gurley, he would sign. If they offer him 25 cents less, he won't sign. It's ego. He wants to be the highest paid guy. Tom Brady has given a ton of money away to make sure that the Patriots kept the players around him to be able to win. So I don't think it's too much to ask from Tom Brady that all of a sudden that he wants his.
Tom Brady's one of my heroes, and I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that fact. That I think this guy is a loyal Patriot.
So if Tom Brady wasn't, he wouldn't be your hero anymore if he played for your team?
I would be disappointed. I would be grateful, but disappointed because I think he's a New England Patriot. That's his legacy. And I would be disappointed.
Hey, Peyton Manning went
That
from your
would be
Colts
like-
to the
that
Denver
would be like-
Broncos.
That would be like if he divorced Giselle and married Kate Beckinsale. You know, it'd be like it's like
Whoever that
okay,
is.
I'm going from yeah. Well, watch Pearl Harbor.
Kate Beckinsale was at
yeah,
Pearl Harbor. Wouldn't that make her like 90 now? Why would Tom Brady want her?
She was in the movie with Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett. I just watched it 2 nights ago. So, no, it would be. Tom Brady is a Patriot. I don't think he's coming to the Colts, and I don't think it's realistic. I think Andy Dalton would be a great move if the Colts could, because I think Andy Dalton is a human being, a man, a quarterback who deserves a chance to win. He's not going to get it in Cincinnati.
He has one. You know what? He's got a better chance to get it in Cincinnati than it does in Indianapolis because Colts fans are like you.
I think the Colts are a great team.
Colts fans booed Andrew Luck.
Well, they're idiots. I mean, that's
yeah.
just
So you're saying Colts fans are idiots. Go ahead.
Somebody, I had my take on my show, and somebody commented on my Twitter saying that they weren't booing Luck, they were booing the organization because they believed the organization knew this and just wanted to sell their season ticket packages.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. And the thing is this, the Colts did not ask him for his money back. The money they could get, I think, Anthony, $20 or $30 million. So that makes me think,
$24.5 million
with the history of Jim Irsay, that I would say that Andrew Luck probably has compromising photos of Jim Irsay.
Well, let's go there. Is Jim Irsay one of the better owners in the NFL or not?
He's maybe the worst. He's one of the worst owners in the NFL. He's a disgusting, pill-popping human being. I don't know too many Colts fans that like him. He's a piece of shit. He's a drunk. I mean, the dude's had multiple DUIs.
Mike, take it easy.
That's my hot take. Why would I take it easy? You're the one that asked the question. Jim Irsay is disgusting, just like his dad was. They're both pieces of crap, and if it wasn't for Peyton Manning, the Colts would be in L.A. under other ownership.
Well, we already have 2 teams out here that both of them suck.
You don't understand this. This would have happened in probably the late 90s. You wouldn't have Lucas Oil Field. Yeah. Peyton Manning saved the entire situation. Colts fans weren't showing up to games very much. You know that. You were a Colts fan back in. I remember going to a Bengals
tickets for 20-something years.
Yeah, I remember going to a Bengals-Colts game in 1987 where there was more Bengals fans than there were Colts fans. So Jim Irsay is disgusting. And you know what? If Jim Irsay would have been smart enough to get somebody in there that could have drafted an offensive line 5 years ago, this would have never happened, and Andrew Luck probably plays till he's 37 and wins 4 Super Bowls.
I'm not buying that story at all.
Oh, really? So you don't think that Andrew Luck's that good? You don't think that Andrew Luck wasn't crushed and beaten up because they would never put the players around him? I mean, look at their drafts from 2013 to 2016 or 17 even. They didn't get the offensive line until the last 2 years. So, you know, they owe him to $20 or $30 million just in ass whoopings he took because they wouldn't get him an offensive line.
They bring a new GM in. I mean, you know, Ryan Grigson was a mistake when he came in as GM. And he
who made that decision? Who hired Ryan Grigson?
I would guess Jim Irsay.
No shit. So there you go.
I mean, to put things in perspective, Steve, if you look at the 32 if you look at the quarterbacks in the past 20 years and see who's still a great one comes along like every 3 to 5 years, you'll get a great quarterback, and that's a stretch.
Oh, God, yeah. Agreed.
So, Andrew Luck is one of them.
And look what happened. They didn't get him what he needed to succeed. They didn't get him what he needed to stay healthy. You know, and Todd Helton, just for the heck of it, I did a search on Jim Irsay as an idiot, and there's a big story. Todd Helton blasts Colts Jim Irsay for being a classless idiot. There you go. And actually, when you put... I can't believe you like him. He's a disgusting human being.
I spent 60 years of my life. I'm 60 years old. I spent 57 years of my life in Indianapolis.
So?
And the Irsays have been great to the city. They have stepped up to the plate. They have done everything they needed to do. They tried to build a winning franchise. I mean, I was on the field the day we announced that the Colts were coming with Dan Quayle. I worked for Dan
when they
Quayle
stole the team by a bunch of scumbags in Indianapolis, stealing Baltimore's team because a drunken idiot. This is the thing. The only reason that they came to Indianapolis is because Irsay was a drunken idiot, his dad, Robert, and he could not get a new stadium in Baltimore because everybody on the city council hated his ass. All the fans hated his ass. The Baltimore Colts from the 1950s up until the late 1970s had one of the best fan bases in all of professional football. You had the Baltimore Colts marching band. You had all this. They loved their team. And that was destroyed from a drunken idiot. You know, Carol Rosenblum owned this team before Irsay did, you know, and he wasn't the greatest guy in the world, but he was a lot better guy than the Irsays because all the Irsays are basically disgusting human beings. And the only reason that team moved to Indianapolis is because Robert Irsay pissed off the town of Baltimore so bad that they just wouldn't give him the new stadium that he wanted. And Indianapolis built the Hoosier Dome and said, here you go, we'll take your team. And you took the problems too. And the time you've been there, you've won one Super Bowl, and you had what everybody in Indianapolis will tell you is the greatest quarterback of all time. But what was the problem there? Most of the time it was, you know, the way they built the team. They didn't build the team to beat the Patriots. The Patriots built their team to beat the Colts.
And how many Super Bowls has the Browns family won in Cincinnati?
None. So you've got one more.
No.
Why is that funny? I mean, you're so freaking stupid. Seriously. What the hell does winning a Super Bowl have to do with it?
And we played in 2.
So did we. If we played Joe Montana in 2, you played freaking Rex Grossman to win. When you played a real quarterback in Drew Brees, you got your ass beat. The 1988 Cincinnati Bengals would have beat any team that the Indianapolis Colts ever had.
We got beat because Hank Baskett fumbled an onside kick.
Oh, you don't think it had anything to do with your legendary Peyton Manning throwing a pick six right to the Saints when he had a drive to win the game? You know, you could say this. In 1981, the Bengals lost the Super Bowl by 5 points
not much
to
more
Joe
than
Montana.
Devin Exter. Not much more than Devin Exter ran a touchdown
well,
back
you
on
know,
the very
it
first
still
play of the
is
Super Bowl,
mind-blowing the way you
in
can ask
the rain
me a
in
question,
Miami
and then you can't let me
against the Colts.
speak because you're just an asshole, an arrogant asshole.
Yes, I am.
You've won one Super Bowl, an arrogant asshole that has diarrhea of the mouth, and you don't know when to shut up and let somebody else talk. Now, when you look at the Colts, all right, there's no running game there. That's a problem. So outside of
Mack
Marlon
is
Mack,
fine. Marlon Mack is fine.
Wait a second. It's one running back who's average, maybe a little
He's
bit better than
running
average.
behind one of the best offensive line. Anthony, do the
Answer
Colts
me
have
this.
one of the
Answer
two
me
or
this,
three-
Steve. Steve, answer me this. With the Colts, who's the backup if something happens to Marlon Mack?
They platoon. I don't know. I mean, I haven't.
You don't
followed
know?
them in
You're
LA.
a Colts
I mean,
fan who's talking crap about me and my team. I can tell you every
No.
running back on my team. You don't even know who the
Anthony.
second running back is on your team.
Mike,
you better ask
Mike,
Anthony
Mike,
a question because you're drowning.
Mike, do the Colts have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL right now?
Yeah, so they don't have a quarterback. They don't have a running back. I mean,
you don't
this
think
is the difference.
Jacoby Brissett is a quarterback?
I think
he's not
Jacoby
worthy?
Brissett is a good quality backup quarterback at next.
Anthony,
Yes.
do the Colts have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL right now?
Oh my God! Are you going
Maybe
to keep
the best.
asking the same obvious question to everybody?
Yeah. Yes, but the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Do they have a
So
top?
anybody can run
Wait a
behind that
second,
line.
Anthony. I got a question. Anthony, do they have one of the top 20 quarterbacks or top 15 even? In the top half of the league, do they have a top 16 quarterback? Do they have a top 20 running back?
No on the quarterback, possibly on the running back. If Marlon Mack can stay healthy, I like Marlon Mack.
So possibly that's somewhere.
And,
he's not,
so
he's not in the
Anthony,
top 10.
Anthony, do the Colts have one of the best tight end core teams of all their tight ends? Eric Ebron and everybody leading that team. Do they
Eric
have one of the
Ebron?
best cores of tight ends right now? Anthony, quiet, Mike.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sure
they have one of the best. They have the and how does this game play?
Where are you going with this? Where are you going with this?
How do you throw? You throw passes under yards. Now you don't throw deep balls anymore.
What the hell does under yards mean?
They've got T.Y. Hilton, who's one of the best deep threats in the game. They've got two other young receivers coming out, but they have the best tight end core of guys that can rotate in.
They have the best
and
tight
play.
end core. Okay.
No, it's a core, Mike. It's not one single player.
Outside of Eric Ebron, who do they have there that you think's really good, Steve?
What's Jack's last name?
Doyle.
Yeah, there's a proven veteran right there.
Who's the third guy?
What, tight end?
Anthony,
don't ask Anthony.
Tight end?
You're the one asking the questions. You made the comment that they had one of the best tight end cores in football. You obviously Googled
Mike,
that.
I don't commit things to memory like
you don't commit things to
I'm
memory.
not that good.
All right, let's do this. Eric Ebron caught 66 balls last year. Jack Doyle caught 26. And thank God for Jack Doyle because he's why
both of them got hurt.
He's why the pathetic ass
hurt.
Bengals beat your team's ass last year, if I remember right.
And were you in the playoffs?
Personally, no. I've never been in the NFL playoffs.
Was your
Were
team
you
in the playoffs?
Were you in the playoffs, Steve?
Were the Bengals in the playoffs?
Yeah, and I can tell you every Bengal on the roster. You claim to be a Colts fan that can't even tell me who the tight ends are after you make the comment that they have one of the best tight end cores in football.
I can tell you every star that's in the movie How to Marry a Millionaire.
Yeah,
which I watched 2 nights ago. Yeah.
Well, it is. I mean, I don't care. You know what? We're not doing a How to Marry a Millionaire show. If we do, I'll make you the host. We're doing a show right now about the Indianapolis Colts, and it seems like you're just talking out your ass to me. It's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong here, but from looking at the Twitter direct messages, I don't think I am wrong. But I'm not going to read those because those are mean.
I think the Colts are still the team to beat in the AFC South.
Yeah.
Anthony, what do you think?
Answer me this, Steve. Who's got the best quarterback in the AFC South?
Well, it's Nick Foles at Jacksonville.
Who's second?
Deshaun Jackson.
Who's Deshaun Jackson? Deshaun Jackson's a wide receiver, Steve.
I'm sorry. Who's the quarterback of the Eastern Oilers?
Damn. Deshaun Watson.
Warren Moon.
Warren Moon.
That was the Houston Oilers.
Is he still playing?
Yeah. Who's the third best quarterback in the division?
Well, that's going to come down to Mariota and Tannehill right now, who I watched this last night.
All right, so you think they're third and fourth. So you're thinking the Colts are going to win the division with not even a top four quarterback in their own division.
I just can't go on the fact that anything other than Brissett is unproven. So let's let him prove himself. Let's let him go. I think the offense is solid. The offensive line is solid. Their receiving core is solid. Their running back situation is solid. Their defense is better than it's ever been. And I still think that overall, as a composite look at a football team, the Colts are the best team in that division.
Well, I will say this. As a Cincinnati Bengals fan, the Bengals were 5-4 last year when Andy Dalton got hurt. The Bengals were 5-4 when Dalton got hurt. Jeff Driscoll, I think, is comparable to Brissett. I think Brissett is a little bit better. But a Bengals team that was 5-4 in the playoffs at the time, as soon as their starter goes down, even though they had Joe Mixon in the backfield, you had some good wide receivers, the team still went to hell because they lost Andy Dalton. So
yeah, if the Colts could get Andy Dalton, it would be unbelievable.
The Colts are not getting Andy Dalton because, number one,
I know they're not. Yeah,
he's not available. I would say this.
Right.
If you go with the Titans, I think the Titans may have a more complete team. I think the Titans' offensive line is good. I think Derrick Henry is good. And I think Ryan Tannehill, if he's the quarterback, is as good as anybody outside of Nick Foles in this division right now.
Well, let's move on to Tennessee then. I mean, you think who's the quarterback there? Is it Tannehill? He can't keep healthy either. When's the last time Tannehill played a whole season?
Competition. I think with Tennessee, you're going to see a scenario where both quarterbacks are going to see playing time, either because one is struggling or one is hurt.
Yeah, but I think I think with the two of those guys, one of them will be all right. And if you look at Ryan Tannehill's stats, Ryan Tannehill's taken a team to the playoffs before. I don't think Tannehill's as bad as people think he is, Anthony. I don't think he's.
I agree, Mike.
Yeah,
I don't think when Tannehill was healthy in Miami, he had a winning record with Adam Gase in the games that he was healthy. So Ryan Tannehill is getting the shaft without people really digging.
Yeah.
He's a good quarterback. I mean, he's not good. I mean, I think he's a starting NFL quarterback in the back tier.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the Titans, I think the interior line was an issue in 2018. That could be a problem again, but they did sign a versatile guard in Roger Saffold. They did some things. I think they picked up Nate Davis in the third round of the draft, who I think could be a really good player. Wide receiver-wise, Corey Davis, A.J. Brown, I mean, both physical guys that get yards after the catch. I think this is a Titan or Jaguar division to lose. And when you look at, the Titans running game with Derrick Henry, Steve, the last 4 games of the year last year, he was dominant.
Okay.
Okay, Anthony, when you look at Derrick Henry last year, the last 4 games, 585 yards in those 4 games. I mean, if he can do that again, and then you put him back there with Deion Lewis also, that's a really good backfield.
Yeah, I like their backs a lot. My issue with Derrick Henry is that he never gets enough carries, especially early in the season. The Titans need to commit to Derrick Henry, commit to the run, and get him going. This way it makes life easier on the quarterback. Now, the issue with their line is Taylor Lewan's going to be suspended for the first 4 games. He lost his appeal for the PED, failed test. That's going to be big because if they lose a couple of those games that they could win without Lewan, then they're going to get off to a slow start.
Yeah, I mean, how do you think Tyler Lewan not being on the roster those first 4 games is going to affect him, Steve?
I think the whole thing you got to do with that is to see how Foles adapts to the Jaguars' offense. I mean,
what?
I mean he was under a great coach and a great offensive scheme, and let's see if he can do it on his own outside of that. So I don't put a lot of faith in the Jaguars. I mean, I put as much faith in them as I do the Colts right now. It's like it's a mystery right now because they're both changing quarterbacks. They're moving on to different things, and we've got to see how it all figures in. It's got to fit. The right rear tire changer on a NASCAR team's got to do his job. If he fails, the team fails.
All right, Anthony, what do you think about do you think the Titans will be able to make it through with Taylor Lewan not playing those first 4 games?
I think it's going to be tough. I think they can do it, but I think it's going to be tough. They have 2 brittle quarterbacks, and Lewan's their left tackle, I believe.
Yeah, he is their left tackle, and I think he's one of the best left tackles in football. And, I mean, this is just – the division is a mess because of stuff like this. But
yeah. Okay. So let me ask this. Anthony or Mike or Anthony, whichever one wants to answer. Who's the better quarterback, Tannehill or Mariota? Who would you, Anthony? Who would you go with? Your fantasy football. Who would you go with?
In fantasy, absolutely neither of them. But from an NFL standpoint, I think Tannehill should get the first start.
Over Mariota.
Mariota just did not look good last year.
Yeah, I agree. I would go with him too. Let's go ahead and let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who got Nick Foles this year. And Nick Foles, question here, Anthony, is can he do this outside of Philadelphia?
Foles struggled outside of Philadelphia earlier in his career before coming back. But he looks okay so far in training camp in the preseason. But the key to the Jaguars, look back a couple of years ago, they made it to the AFC Championship game with two things. Leonard Fournette, defense. And Blake Bortles, he played better than he normally did. Nick Foles is a much more capable quarterback than Blake Bortles. So I believe if Leonard Fournette can commit himself to making the right decisions on and off the field, keep himself healthy, keep away from those small tissue injuries that keep setting him back, and he plays like Leonard Fournette. The Jaguars are pretty good at receiver. D.D. Westbrook, they were really excited about. They have Chris Conley they brought over from Kansas City. Keelan Cole. Marquise Lee is healthy, who is always battling injuries. They brought in Jeff Swaim at tight end from Dallas. I think the Jaguars might be the most complete team in this division because the Jaguars' defense took a big step back last year, but it's not because of their defense. It was because of Blake Bortles and every other quarterback they put back there. Their offense was so bad, it kind of crippled their defense that we see that a lot in the NFL.
Well, and I think when you look at the Jaguars, Leonard Fournette, the problem is he usually misses games to injury. He missed 7 last year. But you really got to like what they did to Jaguars, Steve, with the running backs that they added in the offseason.
They strengthened their offense solidly. I mean, Nick Foles and building around, and they've done a lot what the Colts have done, in my opinion.
No, they haven't.
They built a solid team.
I mean, they've got four really good
So.
running backs now, though. I mean, this is not Marlon Mack. I mean, I think with the guys they've got.
Marlon Mack is not a bad running back. He's just not a brand name.
Oh, okay. But what do you think of the guys that the Jaguars signed to back up Fournette? Because that's the thing I think the Colts were missing because you got a lot of guys behind Fournette now that could be good players.
They have depth. Yeah, they have depth. There's no doubt. They have depth. But I think the whole thing is can Foles fit into the system that they run there? Can he do it on his own?
All right,
by himself?
Anthony, what do you think about the additions they made in the backfield? Because to me, I think that's huge with Alfred Blue, Thomas Rolls, and I like Raquel Armstead out of Temple too. So this is a team that I think is following what you were talking about and what they did a couple years ago. And in case Fournette can't play, they've got other guys here that can carry the load and be at least keep their heads above water if something happens to Fournette for any length of time.
Well, when Fournette missed time in the past couple of seasons, they had T.J. Yeldon, who played pretty well when Fournette was out. Yeldon's now in Buffalo, but Alfred Blue, he was always the number 2 guy with the Houston Texans, and anytime that he was called upon when Lamar Miller will go down, Alfred Blue's a good runner in between the tackle runner. I like Armstead a lot. So despite losing T.J. Yeldon, I think that the depth at running back could be a little bit better this season.
Yeah, when you look at the defense, Steve, what's your take on the Jaguars' defense here? They were really good a couple years ago, not as good last year. What do you think defensively is their prognosis for this season?
And again, from what I've read is I don't think they're very strong in the secondary. I think they're going to get deep picked. I don't think they're very strong. They didn't strengthen their defense in the secondary very strong. And, they're vulnerable at that position.
Okay. What do you think about the defensive side of the ball, Anthony?
I'm buying back into the Jaguars defense. I think they have one of the better cornerback tandems when you're talking about Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Boye. Ramsey didn't look like himself last year. I think his mind is more on getting paid than anything else right now. He has to refocus and recommit to playing, elite football like we know he's capable of doing. The Jaguars lost Telvin Smith, one of their best linebackers. He retired or took some time off this offseason, but he's not going to be there. I don't know if they'll miss a beat. They have plenty of depth on the defensive side of the ball. Miles Jack is one of my favorite players to watch. And they drafted, I'm drawing a blank, they added a defensive a pass rusher in the draft. I'm drawing a blank who they added.
Josh Allen.
Just so.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a question on Twitter for Steve. This is from Jaguar John, who wants to know, what are you smoking right now? Because to say that the defensive backfield is bad when you have Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Boye in the same secondary is kind of nuts.
I don't do drugs.
Okay.
That's all I got to say. I don't do drugs. So, sorry.
Well, I think he wants to know why you think Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Boye are not very good.
I think the game has changed itself from being a deep threat game to a under coverage game that we throw under the, like when Brady has set this thing up, so he throws to his tight ends and goes under the coverage and throws under and takes his yardage 7, 8, 9 yards at a time. So I don't know that the deep corners are that important anymore. I mean, you get big plays. You got big plays. I mean, but I think that the whole thing is to get your linebacker core and group, get them going and doing things right and throwing under the coverage, keeping it at 7, 6, 7, 8 yards where you complete a lot of passes, and you use it as a running game. And I'm not sure Jacksonville. We'll see what they can do with it. We'll see what Foles can do with it.
All right. Anthony, let's talk about the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson. The thing that's disappointing to the Texans to me is this. I think they were clearly set up to make their team a Super Bowl contender, and I think they swung and missed in this offseason big time.
The Houston Texans are in big trouble. I brought it up earlier in the show. I watched that third preseason game against my Cowboys, and I know it's preseason, but it's the dress rehearsal. This is when you're supposed to look your best. This is when your starters are in, and they could not block anybody. Deshaun Watson was the most sacked, pressured, hit, whatever you want to call it. He was in the bottom 10 or the most in most of those categories. And, after the second sack fumble by Taco Charlton, the first one was a sack, second one was a sack fumble and a fumble recovery. They took Deshaun Watson out of the game because they know they can't protect him. If you can't protect him in a half of a quarter in preseason, how are you going to protect him for 16 games? I know they lost Lamar Miller against Dallas. He's done for the year with a torn ACL and MCL. I don't give a damn who's at running back. Unless they go upgrade this offensive line, it's August 26th. It's too late. I don't know how they're buying the Houston Texans for anything.
They brought Trent Williams in, didn't they?
Huh?
No, that's who I believe they should be trading for.
All right. Their offensive line is terrible. It doesn't matter who plays quarterback. And actually, if Deshaun Watson was smart, he'd probably take the $1 million he has in his pocket and go with Andrew Luck to a beach somewhere. Because he's going to get the hell beat out of him this year. So I don't hold out much hope for the Texans.
They're going to roll Matt Khalil. Matt Khalil at one time was a great left tackle. He was retired.
Yeah, and he missed all last season with a knee injury. So, and then the other tackle would be Julian Davenport, who has been nothing but a disappointment with them. And Titus Howard, I think, is going to be a starter at some point, which is a bad idea. But, Steve, what do you think about the Texans?
I think they'll be middle of the pack.
What was that? I missed you there. My phone cut out.
They'll be middle of the pack.
Okay. So when we look at this, we're going to wrap up the AFC South. Who do you got winning this division, Anthony? Just give us 1 through 4.
I'm going to go with.
How about that?
I'm going to go Jags, Titans. No, Jags, Colts, Titans, Texans.
Steve?
I'm going to stay with the Colts. I think it's a solid football team. And I don't think that the quarterback position it's a drop-off, there's no doubt. Losing Andrew Luck is a huge loss. There's no doubt. But I think Jacoby Brissett right now, and I think the Colts they still have cap money. They've got money to spend. They can buy a quarterback if they want one.
They can't. Where are you going to buy one?
Quarterbacks are us?
Yeah, Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
I mean, where are you going to buy a quarterback? Everybody that's a quarterback that's any good is signed right now, outside of maybe Colin Kaepernick.
But they can trade, and maybe with Colin Kaepernick, who knows?
You got to have a team willing to trade a starting quality quarterback, though. And the only one out there right now would be Eli Manning. But
I'm not sure Brissett is not NFL starting quality. I think he is. He's going to be fine.
Can he win you a Super
Bowl? We're going to lose. We're going to drop off. Yes, we are going to drop off.
And if you drop off, then how do you win the division? Because last year,
you have an incredible. You have 21 other players on your team that cover it. You have an incredible receiving core. You have a great group of tight ends. You got a solid running back. You got the best. One of the 2 or 3 best offensive lines in the game right now. If we can keep everybody healthy, which is always a big issue in the NFL, and our defense keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So I'm going with Colts, Jaguars. Colts first, Jaguars second, Titans third. Because I think Titans are going to be in a quarterback issue. Titans are going to be in a quarterback situation all year long. Between Mariota and Tannehill, they're going to just duke that out.
Okay,
and that's the worst situation for any team to be in. Is like when you get 2 quarterbacks that are worthy of playing, both of them are, but you guys just got to pick one and go with him and say, he's our guy. And I don't think the Titans are going to do that.
All right. Just so you know, you can't say the Texans are going to finish in the middle and then pick them last. But I'm going to go with, I think the most talented team here is the Jaguars. I don't even think that's close anymore. I would go Jaguars, Titans, Colts, Texans. And I think Bill O'Brien will get fired. And I don't think it'll be justified because I don't think he's the one picking the players. So, all right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Tomorrow we'll be back with the AFC West. Anthony, you down with that?
Yes, I am.
All right. So I want to remind everybody to listen to all our shows on thegruelingtruth.com. You can hear us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you find sports podcasts. You'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Steve Risley, Anthony Cervino, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.